Hello, we have books to talk about. This is Skulligan, if you're new here. Skulligan is my little desk pet. He's the one that I tell about all of my writing problems to. He is labeled, so if I'm ever writing a scene where I need to know the parts of a skull, which happens surprisingly often, here he is. He's my little desk pet. And I wanted to tell you, we wanted to tell you, I hear you, it's okay. We wanted to tell you a little bit about the books that I've been working on and where I fall in the many, many, many genres that are out there. So that you can know, when the time comes, if the books that I'm writing and working on are the sorts of books that are interesting to you. We're starting this video with a skull. It's not a real skull, it's a fake skull. I bought him at Hobby Lobby. I think possibly Michael's. I don't know. Regardless, that tells you a lot just by default that I keep a skull in my room with me, on my desk. Yeah. Anyway, shall we talk about the books that I'm working on and the genre that I write so that you know who I am and what I'm doing with my life? First of all, I feel like it's important to preface this with the knowledge that I was heavily influenced as a child. And by child, I mean high schooler. Maybe we can go all the way back to middle school. I'd have to talk to my mom and figure out when exactly we started watching Monk. If you know the show, it's about this police detective who was fired from the force, but he notices things differently than everyone else. And it's a very lighthearted show for being a detective show and a crime fiction show, but it's so good. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. Very entertaining. Very funny. I love it. I was highly influenced from a very young age, all the way up to now, to be interested and engaged with crime fiction. I love me a good criminal. I do. I just do. I am obsessed with shows like Leverage and Leverage Redemption. I've been really currently going through Kaleidoscope. So fun. Such an interesting concept. I'm still very curious how this is all going to pull together and come together. I watched The Recruit on Netflix, if you've seen that one. We have, as a family, we've rewatched Bones so many times. White Collar, one of my absolute favorite shows of all time. Definitely. Leverage and White Collar are two of my comfort shows that I will watch routinely anytime I don't feel good, or if I just want to, because I love them. So much so that at some point I got the complete DVD set of Leverage. And also, lest you think I have a favorite, when I tell you that I am obsessed with these, I need you to know exactly how much and how much these have influenced me. Quick other things that have seriously influenced my style, my stories that I love, and other things that interest me. Arrow, Marvel, specifically the Bucky Barnes storylines. I've talked about Bucky before on this channel. You can go find it. Good times if you really want me to like go into detail about what I love about Bucky and Loki. Natasha Romanoff, love her. Anyway, these are the things that have severely impacted my style, the things that interest me, and the things that are constantly pulling me in. And these are also the things that I write about. I write about criminals. And if you've noticed, all of those that I mentioned are TV shows. More than one friend have asked me if I should start writing TV shows instead of books because the genre clearly exists in TV show form. The readership is there. The viewership, I guess, in that case, is present. I have tried that. It didn't work. I have not studied TV show writing, script writing specifically, enough, and it's not an easier industry to get into. So my goal, my plan, my hope is that I will be able to write a book and get a movie deal or a TV show deal. It doesn't really matter. I'd be fine with either, but I would love to one day see these things that I'm writing that would work so well in TV show form translated to screen. I think that'd be super cool. But step one, I need to get the book out there for people to see. Or I need to be published enough times that, like one of my friends, I get approached by a production studio to write a book for them to pitch as a script, and then get a book movie deal combo going on with different publishing houses. That'd be super cool, but that's not likely to happen. That's not likely to happen just yet. So, what can you expect from my writing and from my books? What genre do I write? How do I fit into the book world at all, right? Great question. Simply put, I write crime suspense. More likely crime thriller. But it's tricky. Suspense genres are weird. I've talked about this before on this channel, but suspense as a whole, is this massive genre that covers everything from romantic suspense to crime shows to police procedurals to heist novels to girl next door spy, spies, international spies, to somebody who never leaves their house and witnesses crime, to that's all suspense. They're all different genres within suspense, but they're all suspense. So I write suspense. First of all, I write about criminals. I don't write crime fiction in the sense that we're following police officers trying to stop the criminals. I write crime fiction in the sense that we're following criminals trying to get away with crime. In a perfect world, all of my books would end with my main characters getting arrested, but at that point, like with Leverage, you love the criminals too much, and so you don't really want that, which puts me in a very tricky spot. And so I write a very specific niche of criminal, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly where this falls in the book genres. But the niche that I write is professional criminals who are really good and very, very effective at escaping police custody and or notice. And so they're fighting against each other. Right? Because why have only one criminal crew when you could have a gang war or a mob war? And what happens when you take mob families and put them in the 21st century? These are the questions that I ask and that I answer in my books. These are the questions that I ask because I, as a reader, as a child, I was very, very bored. Like I said, I watched a lot of crime shows. I got very bored with the common motives, right? Crime shows, by default, must follow amateur criminals. They're the kind of people who get caught, right? And in order to be caught, you have to mess up. And I didn't want to write about criminals who messed up. I didn't want to write about people who didn't know what they were doing. I wanted to write about the people who were above the law in the worst ways and so passionate about the things that they cared about that they would still put everything else on the line. Or face the moral dilemma of, well, you know, I'm a sniper for hire, and the person I love just got kidnapped by the rival gang, so I mean, I could call the cops on them, or I could do vigilante justice. And they're the kind of person who's going to follow and fall into that vigilante justice. Like, I mean, you watch Arrow, right? You watch Oliver Queen when any of his friends is in trouble, and he's not going to sit by. And that's the kind of character that I wanted to write. So those are the characters that I do write. That's the genre that I fill. It's not superheroes, because most of the time they're on the wrong side of the law. It's mostly vigilantes, but not for the public good. It's mostly for personal gain, which simply makes them criminals. But I write about the dilemmas that they face as human beings living in our world, in our cultures, doing the crime that they do, trying to get away with it, and the impact that that has on them and their family lives. And, you know, maybe they're con artists. Maybe they're con artists who accidentally fell in love with the person that they were conning. And instead of pulling off the con, they just stayed. Maybe that was their retirement and they didn't realize what but maybe they miss it, you know? And so there's things like that. That's the sort of book that I write. Oftentimes, it is extremely high action, because what's a good story every once in a while without a good gunfight, right? Like, I want high-speed car chases. I want the equivalent of that scene in Captain America: The Winter Soldier when Bucky is standing in the middle of the road and he blows up the car and he sidesteps it like the epic person that he is. I want to do that in book form. And so if you like that sort of thing, if you like the twisted, complicated side of what if we were in Bucky's head for the entirety of that movie, those are the sorts of books that I write. That's the sort of fiction that you can expect from me. That's where we're going to end up if and when I'm eventually a published author. Those are the things that I spend my time thinking about, that I spend my time studying, that I spend my time... That's what I'm doing every week in my writing dates with myself. So, if you love that sort of things, if you're interested in that sort of thing, if you like con men and are interested in people like Frank Abagnale Jr., come along, stick around, because that's the sort of content that I have coming down the pipeline. I don't know when. Nothing is actually in production yet. I'm working on it. We're slowly but surely working on it. We have irons in the fire. We have things that are moving. But those are the sorts of things that I write. Those are the sorts of things that I'm really excited about and curious about and interested in. And I really hope that by just being online and talking about these things that I can draw my people to me. That people like you who are watching this video can find me and stick around. And hopefully, too, that means we get to be friends. So if you've made it this far and you have a favorite con artist, please put your answer down below. I don't know if anybody is actually going to have a favorite con artist, but I would love to go do some research on even more of them, because that would be super fun and super interesting for me personally. Another show that I like and highly recommend if you haven't watched it yet is called Imposters. And it follows the con artist, and specifically her past spouses, as they try to track her down and become con artists in the process, because she took everything from them. And so in order to track her down, they have to con their way through the entirety of the US to even get to where she is. So highly recommend. Very entertaining, very funny. Love that show. I also really love Nikita. If you haven't seen that one, it's better for high action, sort of spy thriller sort of stuff. And also Chuck, if you want something that's a little bit more comedy focused, still crime fiction, very, very well done, sort of doofy comedy, but also just like, it's very well done. Highly recommend. Those are some of my favorite things that have inspired the stories that I write, and probably definitely added to the things that I care about and the work that I've been doing, the studying that I've done in terms of criminals and how they all function together. So what genre do I fit into? If I were really going to try to narrow it down, I would say that I write thrillers. They're crime thrillers. But because of how complicated that gets, because of the nature of the genre, yeah, probably just thrillers. So if you like thrillers, just because of the nature of how intense everything can get, stick around. And also, let me know who your favorite authors are, and especially if you know any authors who write about criminals in a modern, current setting. Please send me those book recommendations. I would love to create a TBR list that was specifically books like the ones that I write, because as of yet, I'm still not actually convinced that they're out there. Like, they have to be. There's so many books published all the time. They have to be out there. But if you've read books that follow criminals more than or equal to following the police officers that are chasing them down, please send them my way. I would love that. I would love that. Okay, until next time, I'll see you then. Make sure to check out my website for blog posts. Sign up for my email newsletter if you're interested in getting short stories that I write to your inbox all the time. And then also, I have a merch shop, and it would mean a lot to me if you would support the channel one way or another. You can either send me, just buy me a coffee on Ko-Fi, coffee, however you say that. You can buy me a coffee, there's a link below, or you can check out my merch shop. It's currently just full of stuff for writers, but if you are a reader, I'm working on getting more and more stuff out there for you. So, and if there's anything you would love to see on a t-shirt or user-submitted ideas, please, 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 please shoot me a message, send me a comment. I'd love to meet what you're looking for there. Until next time, I will see you then. See you later.